Let's get it done. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Pam from the original Woolly Dragon. I don't know how I talk so much about so few things, but it's a gift. So this is part 3 of my final seed inventory series. I really didn't think I had that many seeds left, but we're gonna definitely get to the end of this one. So if you're coming back from the last 2 days to find out what the finale is, this is it. If you liked it, go ahead and give it a like, thumbs up for me, and subscribe. I think this is going to be the most content I will be able to put out in just a few days' time. Just because I'm losing my voice. But I know if I don't get this done, I won't get it done. So we'll get this done. And then I will take a break until the following week. And then we'll continue on. Probably weather depending. The next weekend's video will be stuff outside, so I can show you what I have been doing, what I need to be doing. I can procrastinate like no one's business. I always say, okay, well, I'll have all winter to get X, Y, and Z done. And then it's like, oh, if I'm going to get that done, I need to do it now because I need to get this in this bed or stuff like that. But maybe having you guys along for the ride, I'll be a little bit more proactive and get stuff done. All right, so I got a couple of seed orders in. Now, I'm not saying this is the last seed order that I'm going to place for 2023. You know, if I follow, true to character, I will probably, after this video is uploaded and ready to go, I will probably be scoping out, get another seed catalog in the mail or something like that, and place another order. I don't need to place any more seed orders, but if this is going to be my vice, there are worse things. I'm just going to say it right there. All right, so I placed 2 orders on the, I want to say the 3rd or 4th of January. One was from Baker Creek, which is in Missouri, and the other one was with Pinetree Seeds, which is in Maine. So orders went in the same day. The following day, interestingly enough, I got notification that both orders had been filled and would be shipped soon, which is amazing in this day and age. Usually with COVID and all that kind of stuff, I mean, I'd place an order and it'd be a week before I got even notification that the order had been put together. So I was happy. Now I'm in East Tennessee. Missouri borders with Tennessee, but they're on the west side. So it's still a fair distance away. So crow flies and all that kind of stuff. Missouri's probably closer than Maine is, but not by a whole lot. But not by that much. So 2 days after I got notified that the Baker Creek order had been shipped, I had my seeds. So I was like, cool. Went to go see how things were going with the Pinetree Seeds, and they had tracking information supposedly, but nothing was showing up. Finally, like 2 days after that, I finally got notified that it had been shipped and it was in Massachusetts. Okay. So Maine, Massachusetts, East Tennessee, right? Maine, Massachusetts, Little Rock, Arkansas, and then Kansas. Don't know why I went to Kansas. Not too awfully sure why it went to Little Rock, Arkansas. I mean, Memphis would have been closer than Little Rock, Arkansas. And it's by U.S. mail. So as of, say this, I'm doing this on Wednesday, the 11th. As of the 9th, it was still in Little Rock, Arkansas. And then I got notified yesterday that it was in Knoxville, Tennessee. Still saying that it's going to be shipped on the 9th. And then on the 9th, it was in Little Rock, Arkansas. So I'm thinking, unless I have, hot tub time machine or something like that, I'm not getting those seeds on the 9th because it's already the 10th. So it did finally arrive today on the 11th. So I'm just kind of glad, middle of winter, I didn't have plants in that order because that might have been problematic to be out that long. But as with all things with this day and age, I just let you in, cat. You can go away. Come here. You want to go up here? Come on. All right. Well, if you're not going to come from my lap and introduce yourself, go away. Go lay down. That was Beaker. All right. So I think I have, we have 6, 8. All right. So I bought 11 packs of seeds from Baker Creek and ended up getting 2 free packs of seed, which is the other thing I love about Baker Creek. Baker Creek has free shipping, which I love. And they have the free packs of seeds. I think you get 1 pack of seed if you buy $10 worth of seeds. And then I think the next increment is $35. And I think the final order was for like $40 after tax and all that kind of stuff. So I squeaked by. What? You're not going out. It's getting dark. Anywho, so I love Baker Creek. Wasn't as happy about their freebie catalog this year, but I understand why they had to make it smaller. But that's a different story. Please go back to the regular one. All right. So a couple of these things are things that I have grown before. Actually, only one of these things. The varieties I've grown before. Types I've grown before. On some of these are brand new. So the first thing I got, I actually put these in alphabetical order, so be proud of me. This is an Aster called Matsumoto Blue Aster. These are, pretty sure these are annuals. And I am hoping that these flowers are actually that color. I am a sucker for blue purple flowers, for blue purple and like dark, almost black kind of red. I like the other stuff. Pastel colors usually aren't my thing, but I will occasionally get them if there's just something about it that appeals to me. But dark purple like this, and then dark red like this Black Prince Snapdragon. That's my jam. I'm a goth girl, but in sweatpants. So I've never grown asters before. So 10 to 14 days after frost. So stands about 26 inches tall. 2-inch blooms, perfect for pots on the patio, beds, borders, and more. Set out after last frost. And it takes about 90 days from seed till it flowers. So if I set it out in May, June, July, August. So it'll be late summer. So I may see how the spring goes. If it looks like it's gonna be a warmer spring, I may try and do it a little bit earlier so I can get them a little closer together. But we'll see. We will see. And again, hopefully, if we have success, I'll get a video up and show you all these wonderful things. Next thing I got is a butterfly pea. This is called Blue Queen. And so it's not a pea like pea pods or anything like that to eat. What you harvest is evidently the flower. And you're supposed to make a tea from the flowers. It makes a kind of a bluish tea. And there's supposed to be medicinal properties to it. But the one thing I was reading about wasn't on here. It must have been on the website itself. But if you make a tea with this and you put in a couple of drops of lemon juice, I'm guessing the acid, it'll make it turn pink, to pink color. So if nothing else, I can freak out my neighbor kids. Be like, magic. Okay, perennial in zones 10 and 11. I'm in zone 7, so no. But I might be able to put them in pots. Maybe not. Oh, vines to 6 feet in full sun. All right. Okay. That's doable. All right. So, novelty item plus pretty blue flowers. I'm okay with that. So I also got some Moonflower seeds. I had previously gotten, let's see, what was it? Grandpa Ott and Scarlet O'Hara Morning Glories. Grandpa Ott's is like a blue-purple, and Scarlet O'Hara is red. So I'm going to do, hopefully, if I can get it done, put on my front Juliet balcony, what I call the Juliet balcony. If you know anything about my house, it's a 1-story, 2-story house. The house was actually built on top of the two-car garage. And so I have to come up. And for whatever reason, this isn't a prefab home. It was actually made. They put in a front door and then put just this, I call it the Juliet balcony. It's like 4 or 5 feet deep from the side of the house out, and then maybe 8 feet wide. Ugliest thing ever. The cats will go out and sun themselves, but it faces the west, so you can't really go out there in the afternoon because it gets really hot in the summertime out there. But what I'm hoping to do, because there's the big 6-foot, 6-inch posts that support the deck up 16 odd feet high. I think what I'm going to try and do is put a trellis up it, either using nails and just strong nylon twine so that the tendrils can grow up it, and then just do the red, white, and blue morning glories and Moonflower, and put that up there with some kind of a raised bed in front. Or I may actually try and go and get one of the little trellis, 4x8 trellises you can get at Lowe's and Home Depot and stuff like that. Probably doing it with the twine and the nails, maybe cheaper for this year. I'll have to see how if I get an income tax return this year. So we'll see. So yeah, so the goal is to have red, white, and blue morning glory type flowers climbing up the deck to the deck. Just to give it hide it from the ugliness from view. Oh, don't kick the camera, Pam. All right, so I already have Amazing Gray and Lauren's Great poppies that I was able to grow from seed last year by just basically going out, midwinter last year and just kind of broadcasting the seeds into a bed that I have reserved just for flowers. And I got some growing. So I'm hoping that those reseeded themselves this year. And so I'm going to grow these guys, throw these guys in to the mix. These are called Falling in Love poppies. And so we shall see. One thing I do know is that my bees love the poppies. So at some point, if I could just have one block of air, land somewhere that was nothing but poppies that were there for, a week or so, I would be probably happy. So I'll have to kind of think about wildflower area that I can have stuff that just kind of repeat, blooms out after each other kind of deal. I got a different kind of salvia to replace the flame salvia that I decided I don't want to grow anymore. The flame salvia is red. It doesn't look right to my eyes. So probably do very well other places, but so this is more of a rose / lavender kind of salvia. And it's perennial for zones 3 through 9. Easy to grow. Blooms in the summer. Mine also bloom after the heat of this, the big part of summer. They'll also bloom again as it cools off for the fall. 18 to 24 inches tall and wide. Good for cutting, floral design, and the bees. And then my beloved Black Prince Snapdragons, another goth plant. All right, so that's it for flowers from Baker Creek. So, these are in alphabetical order too. So I've been looking at these carrots, Kyoto Reds, for a year now. I saw them in last year's, the catalog in the winter. It came to me in the winter last year. Wanted to get them, but then it was like, I already have a lot of carrots kind of deal. But I did some further reading, and these kinds of carrots are specifically grown for fall and winter. So this would be a type of carrot that I can use that'd be a little bit more winter hardy, that might be able to survive during, bad weather and stuff like that, that I can just go out and pull up as I need periodically. So I thought I'd give it a try and see what happened. I then got 3 different kinds of onions. I got Red of Florence, which it's listed as a long day type, but it says in the description that it can also kind of borderline intermediate, which is what I basically need. I live very close to the 35th parallel, which is kind of the cutoff for in between the long day onions that are to the north of me and the short day onions, which are to the south of me. And then the intermediate onions are right smack dab through the middle of the country on either side of me kind of deal. But the reason why I got these, because they said that it can actually function in an intermediate area like mine, but because of the shape. So it's more of, instead of the round usual onions, these are more torpedo shape, almost like shallots. Some shallots are. And so that makes, when you're doing the slices, it's like they're all the same diameter for the most part. Whereas you have a round onion, you're going to have shorter pieces on either end, and then the middle is going to be the widest. Not that it matters, because I'm not doing this for show and tell or anything like that. And the fact that the cylindrical part, what I was reading, you put them in and they'll bulb up and they kind of like push themselves up out of the ground as they get closer to being ready to go. So I'm very interested to see how well those do, because so far I've not had a whole lot of luck on bulbing onions. And then I got a variety of onions called Australian Brown. So these are actually an heirloom type from the 19th century, released by Burpee. And it's an intermediate type. So the onions I'm going to be getting planted in my seed trays probably tomorrow or Friday. This is Wednesday right now, the 11th for me. So maybe by the next video that comes out a week from when you're going to be saying this, maybe I'll show you, see if any of them are coming up. Onions are the kinds of things I tell people, don't just throw your seeds away at the end of every year. Some varieties of veggie seeds and flower seeds you can keep for several years. Onions, however, usually end up losing a lot of their punch after a year. So I have older onion seed, that I'm going to plant and see if how well they do germinate. So I got these seeds just kind of be back up just in case they didn't grow, kind of deal. And then the third variety, new variety that I got is called Flat of Italy. It's also an intermediate type, and it's red, but it's also flat, kind of almost more like a Vidalia type onion is. So, and it's good for fresh eating and cooking, because some onions are better for cooking and some are better for eating, kind of deal. So, cross the fingers I get onions this year, because I like onions. All right, I went ahead and caved. I have been thinking about just getting regular shelling peas forever, because the snap peas, the kind that you can eat pod and little peas inside all together, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Back in the day, this is what I used to grow down when I was living in South Florida as a kid. So I'm going to try these again. This is just a variety called Lincoln. It's just an old-fashioned variety. It's been introduced in 1908. And it performs better than many in warmer weather. So give it a try, see if I get peas. I like to have peas on hand. I'll go ahead and I'll shell them, and then I'll steam them and then blanch them real quick, dry them off, do my freezer tray in the freezer trick, single layer, throw them in the freezer, freeze them solid, then put them in a Ziploc bag just so they don't stick together as much. And then I can throw them into, when I make fried rice and, salads and soups and stews and kind of stuff. Those kinds of peas, they don't last a long time before they get really starchy. So if I do the blanching, the steaming and then the blanching and then freeze it, it'll preserve it a little bit longer. All right. So that was Baker Creek, and I got 2 packs of free seeds. Now, I love Baker Creek, and I love when I get free seeds, but I'm not really happy with what I got, so who knows. So this is a variety of hot pepper called Datil, and these are supposed to be, it says vicious heat, complex fruity behavior. Well, maybe I'll grow some and see if I can dehydrate them and do into maybe a hot pepper powder or something like that. Because I like spicy, but I don't like burning the roof of my mouth out with my food, either temperature-wise or spiciness-wise. So yeah, we'll see. I may grow one just to see if it's better. Beaker. And I may be able to make a hot pepper jelly with yellow and using the lemon peppers that I had. So I can go to these farmers markets and craft shows and stuff like that and try and get all the macho guys who like hot stuff. See if I can burn a few taste buds. All right, so the second pack I got is a variety of tomato called Spoon. Teeny tiny little, they call these currant tomatoes. I've grown tomatoes like this before, and they're cute, but it takes an awful lot of them to fill up that darn spoon. So I may see if I know someone who has kids or something like that and give them to them so they can grow those and it's fun things for little kids, not so much for grown kids who are size queens. All right. So that was it for Baker Creek. And then I got an order from Pinetree that ended up being 7 packs of seeds. Really? Only 7? All right. So Pinetree is a really cool seed company. These are one of those, they're more of a small deal. They're in Maine, and I'm finding out that there are a lot of like seed growers and fruit tree growers and things like that in Maine. So if you're looking for winter hardy stuff, Pinetree is it. Let's see, established in 1979, so it's over 40 years now. Yeah, because that's about the time we moved up to Tennessee. It was 41 years ago. Yep, so these were one of the first. Shouldn't show you the one that has my address on it. Don't look at the address. So yeah, New Gloucester, Maine. So I kind of like the family run things. The bigger things may have the quantities and things like that, like Johnny's and things like that. But so generally with Pinetree, you get smaller amounts but cheaper prices than you can get at some places. So like this, the Felicity pepper, I didn't have any fresh. I had stuff that seed that I had harvested a couple of years ago, but I just wanted to hedge my bets in case that seed does not grow true. I'm doing an experiment, so I'm going to do mostly these guys, but 1 or 2 of the ones that I grew from seed, just to see if I was successful and if I can do that with. So Felicity pepper, for those of you who didn't see yesterday's video about peppers and tomatoes and eggplants, this is one of my favorite peppers. It looks like a jalapeno, but it's not hot. It's very sweet, kind of like a bell pepper. And so this is the one that I used with, you know, salsas, and if I want to make stuffed jalapenos and things like that with the cream cheese or anything like that, or bacon wrapped, those kinds of things, and I just don't feel like having hot stuff, I can use these, same effect. So yeah, so these are usually my go-to pepper of any kind. And then I decided I wanted to try a variety of hot pepper called Habanada. So these are allegedly look like habanero peppers and have kind of like the same taste, the smokiness, the fruitiness of a habanero, but not the mouth scorching heat of true habaneros. So I think I'm going to go ahead and grow one of these and just see how they do. See if I like them or not, and decide whether I'm going to keep using them. And then I bought a pack of Shallot Seeds, Zebrune. So these are going to be more of the cylindrical shallots instead of the round ones. I don't really use a lot of shallots. I kind of have the same problem with shallots as I do with bulbing onions, the fact that they don't bulb that much. But I keep trying. I just want to see if it's true, because shallots are supposed to be kind of milder than just regular onions. It's kind of more for, you know, more delicate kinds of things as opposed to in-your-face onion kind of deal. So this variety of shallots, if I'm remembering correctly, is the reason why I bought this variety, is that it tends to be more of an intermediate type, like the onions, regular onions are supposed to be for this area, whereas most shallots, shallots are more long day and maybe more finicky for my area. So we'll see. All right, so those are the veggie seeds. I bought a variety of sweet alyssum called Royal Carpet. These are, I've got ones that I got at Southern Exposure Seed Exchange last year, I believe, that I'd never grown sweet alyssum before, and they turned out to be surprisingly useful and easy to grow. I just have to make sure I planted the white variety last year. I planted them way too early, so they were kind of getting root bound before I was able to get them out in the garden. And I thought, these things aren't going to make it. You know, I waited too long. They're root bound. They're just going to wither and die, blah, blah, blah. Well, that was one of the most successful things I had in the garden last year. They grew like crazy. They're only supposed to get like maybe 6 inches high, 6 or 8 inches high. But I mean, I had them, they were like growing up on things. I had one that I planted in front of one of my beehives, thinking it wasn't going to get that high. It ended up, and it was like partially obscuring the entrance to the beehive. But I was just like, the bees were just going around it, having a good old time. I was like, all right. So, yeah. So these are the purple variety. Well, not purple. They're kind of lavender color, light purple. So I'm going to mix and match these guys with the white variety this year. I got another type of Cosmos called Carpet Mix. These are a shorter variety. I want to say they don't get much over 2 feet high. And does it say? I want to say these are also reddish varieties, reddish hues. If I'm remembering correctly, I'll throw out a picture if it's not. Then I got a variety of Dianthus. I kind of like Dianthus. I actually bought a 4-pack of a variety of Dianthus, or pinks, there's another name for them. Carnations, I think, are in the same family as pinks. But these guys are more perennial, whereas carnations usually end up being annuals. So I bought a 4-pack of pinks at Lowe's 6 years ago. It's been over 5 years. Planted them, they bloomed. Then they started looking really shabby as summer wore on. And then when the weather acclimated and started cooling down again, it started blooming. All 4 of them started blooming again, and then died. I was like, all right, well, that was fun. That, got flowers twice. That's great. Next spring coming up, flowers again. I was like, okay. So I am a little concerned because we had that really bad winter blast in Christmas time this year. So I thought, let's go ahead and see if we can find some. I saw these. These guys are also perennial. I think these are also shades of red, because the variety that I have already is red as well. So if we're successful, I'll take video later on this year and show you. And then, did I say what kind it was? Double Dynasty mix. And if they're not red, if they're a different color, I'll put a picture up there. And then I was running out of, well, not running out of, but wanting to try. I have 3 kinds of Zinnia seeds already. I have Profusion Red, I have Profusion Apricot, and I have a variety called Violet Queen, which is basically like a pinky purple kind of color. And so I wanted to see about getting other colors into it. I'd had another kind of variety a couple years ago, and I don't think I was able to find it this year for some reason. So I just decided to get the cut and come again. And basically, I just like any zinnias, if you deadhead the dead flowers, don't let them go to seed, or if you cut them to put in a vase inside your house or something like that, it'll just make more flowers. So I thought, and I think this guy, yeah, it's only supposed to grow to be like 2.5 feet tall. So, all right, well, my cat is going crazy for some reason, wanting to do something. So a little over 30 minutes, almost made it. Again, cannot believe that, 20 odd packs of seeds. I can talk about 20 odd packs of seeds, takes over half an hour, but at least it's not an hour. So I think this is it. This is it for seed inventory and that kind of stuff for this year. I'm not making promises, but I'm thinking. You never know. But so yeah, we got a lot of seeds here. I will have my hands and space in my house busy until I can get stuff outside. I'm gonna start planting seeds for the onions in the next day or two. And I need to go through and look at my spreadsheets and see. I'm thinking some of the flowers I also have to get started this early. Don't know for sure. Maybe not. I think onions are the only thing really. And then I need to do an update video on how my root cuttings are doing that I did last September and October. Some things I'm having success with, some things not so much. But the three things that I did, well, the three things that I actually bought, I bought fig cuttings for a variety of figs called Celeste. I bought cuttings for mulberry plants, mulberry trees, and cuttings for forsythia. So of the 20 odd cuttings for the fig, I think I have one success. Well, I know so far I have one success. It's growing very well, which is okay. If I can get that one up and growing, I can take more cuttings of that once it gets a little more established, and I can get more if I need more. The mulberry, I am going to be able to make a forest of mulberries. I think at least 80% of the mulberries, and I had 20 odd of just regular mulberry trees, and then I had 20 odd of dwarf mulberries. So I'm going to have quite a few mulberries. So I may be to mulberries what people growing a lot of zucchini in their garden is next year. People are going to be running from me because I'm going to be like, hey, have some mulberry plants. Yeah. And then the forsythia is kind of in between the two. I have several that have rooted and are growing leaves and things like that, but not as successful as the mulberries. I don't know why the mulberries did well. Don't know. I need to show you an update of what's going on with the Meyer lemon seedlings that I started last fall. Of the 13 seeds that actually sprouted, I still have 8 that are going. Basically what I did was there were a couple that just did not grow, but there were like 4 that grew, but they just were stunted. So I'm just like, let's go ahead and nip this in the bud. So I just went ahead and threw those on the compost pile. So I've got 8 remaining. I ended up with 3 cuttings from my ARP rosemary plant that I've had for 12 years. I think the main plant is dead. I'm very glad I took these cuttings. Usually during cold weather, she gets some nipping back and dying back at certain points. But I went out earlier this morning, went out to go down to the mailbox and see if I had any mail, which I had my seeds from Pinetree in it. But I went and looked, and it's like all brown. I'm just like, I'm just going to ignore you. And if it turns out you are truly dead, I will cut you down. I will burn you in effigy, or burn you in your honor, and then replant these 3 cuttings that are still growing. And I also have a cutting from my phenomenal lavender that's also doing well. But the phenomenal lavender, if you don't have phenomenal lavender, and if you like growing lavender, I can grow lavender here, but not for very long. At most, just the regular Munstead and lavender veras and things like that, they'll go for a couple of years maybe, but then they just decide they're not gonna live another year, and which is a shame because I love lavender. But this phenomenal lavender, I planted it 3 years ago. I bought it. Where did I buy that? Don't even remember now. But I bought it. It came in a little 3-inch pot, just a little seedling that was maybe 2 or 3 inches high. That year, it went from being about this high and in the 3-inch pot to being a foot in diameter and putting out lavender spears. And today, it's a good 3 feet maybe high, and it breezed through that cold weather crap that we got at Christmas time. I mean, it's nice and green, and it just stays nicely mounded. I haven't had to cut it back except for taking off the flower stems. And I'm just like, there's got to be something wrong with this thing. They're going to find out it's carcinogenic or something, because it's doing well for me and it's lasted for 3 years. So crossing my fingers, and then I've got a cutting that I can use, put in a different spot to have 2 of them going. So yes. All right. So let's stop chatting. All right. So guys, thanks for listening to me drone on about seeds. I'm guessing those of you who are watching this are about as ecstatic about the addiction that is seed buying as I am. So let me know in the comments, how's your seed buying experience been so far this year? Knock on wood, except for that one little incident with the post office with the one delivery being a little late. Wasn't very late. It was just comparatively to the other one at the same time. So any horror stories, anything that you didn't like, I'm going to have a list of the new seeds for you to go through and look at. If you've ever tried any of the new ones that I have never used before, let me know in the comments what you thought about it, so I can at least put that in the back of my brain to think about over the growing period. Yep. So any questions, comments, let me know. We're going to do some more stuff outside in the garden. And if I can get my button gear, A, and remember to turn my camera on, B, we may have a little thing with dyeing some yarn here coming up end of January, 1st of February, something like that. And show you kind of what I do. Now I do the dyeing of the yarn for the website that has my wool and stuff on the website. But I don't do, I'm what is known as an indie dyer, darling. I'm special, but I just I don't have the space for doing 100 skeins of yarn at a time. I do maybe 5 at a time. So come on by and see the website and see what you think. I'll have the address in the description for you. Come by, share with your friends if you like yarn. We've also got things like vintage fabrics and patterns and jewelry and things like that too. So thanks guys, and this should be it for this kind of stuff. Knock on wood again. All right, bye guys.